Simulated reality is something that's actually been a train of thought for a lot of philosophers for many thousands of years. It goes way back to Socrates in 350 or 375 BCE, and it's something that has led people to hypothesize and conjecture over until recently there's actually been a standard put in place with a science called quantum mechanics that says that we are in fact living in a simulated reality. This is something that Albert Einstein flat out denied. Albert Einstein said, no way, this is impossible. We cannot be living in this simulated reality like quantum mechanics is showing. But let me explain and try to get this point across, that the observation, okay, conscious observation of an object will actually create the object, and without conscious observation, the object ceases to exist. And this is something where I'm doing just a very brief overview, but something like this book, Plato, and again, I have it in the Greek, I've been reading through all of this, and something like Plato, in the original text, the original Greek and everything, that this is something that exists when I pick it up and I start to read it. I can pick it up and let me just start at the beginning, and it says, Autas phaidon peragenu sacrati akene te mere e ta pharmacon apian in to desmoterio e allo tu ecusas. And then Phaedo answers, Autas hoecrates. And so on and so forth, that this exists because I'm observing it. But how the quantum mechanics reality goes is that when I put this book down, if I put the book in another room, that book will cease to exist when I cease to observe it. And not only will the book cease to exist, but actually the entire room in which is not being observed also ceases to exist. It's something that maybe confuses people or puts people into this weird state of cognitive dissonance, and this is a state which I think is very important to be in. The definition for cognitive dissonance is cognitive has to do with your mind, your thinking. Dissonance is just the lack of harmony. That harmony, as in Plato, Socrates has said that harmony is something that we have so deep in our consciousness that there exists a harmony, that harmony is something that exists, but if we see it out in nature, we will never find harmony. Harmony does not come from without, but harmony comes from within. And this is something that, again, people for thousands of years, at least 2,500 years, have been saying that there is an absolute sense of harmony. And then when cognitive dissonance comes in play, that is when there is the lack of harmony in your thinking process. And the reason that this would be the case is because we are trained that that reality is a form of realism, that there is a state of natural reality, and so we exist in a world of reality. This coffee mug exists, therefore I can hold it and I can touch it and feel it and observe it. But that's actually not the truth. In modern science, we have actually discovered, we as the conscious humans have discovered, that reality only exists when being observed. Therefore, this coffee mug only exists since I and my viewers here are viewing it. If I set the coffee mug on a shelf and I walk to the other room, not only will the coffee mug cease to exist, but the other room also will cease to exist. Very interesting. Okay, let me say this then from a religious point of view. Some people say, oh my goodness, Nathaniel, if you put that on YouTube, if you say stuff like that, people will stop crediting you and they'll say you're a kook, they'll say you're crazy. I don't care anymore. Okay, I really don't care. I mean, if you will see, I did have this added to it. This is my little Torah scroll. It's got the 10 Commandments on it. So as you can see, there is a point in which I don't care. And that's also like the reason why I'm actually doing this, is because I really don't care. The reason why I have this, braided hair like this, and have a lamp on my head, put a tuxedo on, this is to draw the attraction. This is my show and tell, okay? This is my, I don't know what you call it. It's a form of craziness, but it's a form to create attention in which other people will want to watch. And, you know, if people assume that I'm crazy because of that, I really don't care, because it's something that is, it's something that is deep down in the human being, that people want to, fit in a crowd. They want to be accepted by other people. They want friends. They want to have colleagues, co-workers, friends, family, and all that to accept them and to care about them and to treat them with respect. And that is, in some ways, a good thing. Excuse me. But at the same time, there is a point in which that causes a problem. And it can actually cause a very, very huge problem. And that is that you are so reliant and dependent on other people's acceptance of you that you will not think, you will not do, you will not even create an imaginative circumstance and a possible reality for yourself which is not in compliance with the system, with the reality, or with the system, the existence, whatever you want to call it, in which you were born and raised. You want to be accepted by your family, you want to be accepted by your friends, you want to be accepted by society. Therefore, you will not think and you will not do in the opposite, or even in some kind of a dissonance with the system. You will go in harmony with the system because that is what you believe needs to happen. But let me explain that the reason for this is that we as humans have this inner consciousness where we want to be right. We want to be right standing with God, with our Creator, and we want to be right standing with the man. And so that is why it's leading some people that are supposedly Christians. That is why they go to church and they give their money to the offering plate. It's why they pay their taxes. It's why they do what they're supposed to do. It's why when the speed limit says 45, they won't go more than 50 or 60, depending on where you're at in the world. And it's why the Muslims will continue to be Muslims, the Christians will continue to be Christians, the Jews will continue to be Jews, and the atheists will continue to be atheists. It's all because you want to believe a certain way, you want to have your facts straight, you want to have your mind straight, and you will not go against what you already thought or knew to be true. Except in certain cases, like say you're a Muslim and you convert to Christianity, or say Christian convert to Judaism, or Christian convert to Muslim. There is a point in which you change your mind, but as soon as you change, then you've locked your mind in place. Now you are Muslim, or now you are Christian. You know, Hail Mary, full of grace, gratia pleno, whatever. You know, just you're Christian or you're Catholic, whatever. And then you got to be that. If you're anything but Catholic now, you got a problem. So you want to be whom you are perceived to be. And so if you're perceived to be a Muslim, you have to be a Muslim. If you're perceived to be a Christian, you have to be a Christian. If you're perceived to be Jewish, you got to be a Jew. And that is the state of cognitive harmony, which I think is actually malevolent. Okay, and why I call it malevolent is because male is the Latin word for bad. Volent means willing, and it's evil willing against you that that there be this form of harmony, because it makes you comply to whatever rules or regulations this system enforces on you, and you will not ask, you will not even inquire what it's even about, why you're being told you have to do a certain thing or think a certain way. You will just think that way or do this way. Excuse me. But anyways, my story here, as you've seen in the title, is called A Simulated Reality. Are we living in the year 2200 or in the 2200s? And I want to get into that because it's already been about 9 minutes, 13 seconds into this clip. And I don't want to delete this clip. And I don't want this clip to be, you know, just as just some sort of a back clip or whatever. I want this to be something that actually people watch and pay attention to, because I believe this is actually worth hearing, okay? There's some videos that I got on there that really are just goofy, silly stuff that nobody even should care about, because I don't even care about them. I don't even know why anybody watched them. But as far as this clip, I think it's very important to understand the basis of reality. That, for one, okay, that this reality is already shown by quantum mechanics and science that observation is what causes a being or an existence to be in place. This mug exists because I observe it and because you, the viewer, observe it. That is a fact. The mug ceases to exist when the observation ceases. Then it is in a state of wavelengths, and it is a state of possible reality. So when somebody observes it, that is what is going to be observed, and that is what's going to exist. The state in this process is that it must be observed by a conscious observer, and to imply God or the higher being to be the creator or that. This actually very well shows that God or the higher powers is in existence, okay, that we were created, we are a creation. But this is the problem, is that in all churches, congregations, all, whether you're Muslim or Jewish or whatever you are, you're going to believe by your teachers that God is everywhere. That's what people say. God is everywhere, and he can see everything, like, just little ants on the earth. And the truth is not really the case in this reality, because this mug ceases to exist when I set it on the shelf and go around the corner. That means that not even God himself is looking at the mug. Not even God himself is looking at the bookshelf or the room without me being there. Which leads me to the conclusion that there are only two options. Either that God just created it to be that way, that he's in heaven, he created our consciousness to be down here in these physical bodies where we observe things, and that he only is where we are. And so if he's got 7 billion people observing 7 billion different things, then he only is there watching and observing what the 7 billion people are watching or observing. That is the one option. The other option is that there is a base reality, which is whence we've come and whence we all actually originate. And with this supercomputer, or this hijack of base reality into a sort of, say, quote-unquote fake reality, if you would, that God exists in the base reality. Therefore, God exists in this secondary reality, but because of the hijack of the known human race that has forced us to be in a secondary point of existence, that is why God only exists and sees what the 7 billion people exist. But back in the base reality, he would not only see and observe the sight and the consciousness of the 7 billion people, but he would also be observing, say, a mug if it's on the other room, and he'd be observing an empty basement. He'd be observing books that are still on the shelf. He'd be observing everything in a base reality, because what we believe base reality would be is smooth space, and basically that observation wouldn't actually it wouldn't be the cause of an object to be there, but it would only be a passive observation, that this mug exists. It exists without anybody observing it. Therefore, if I walk out the door, close the door, it'll still be there. And the all-power supernatural God, or the deity, he would always be watching it. He would always be seeing the books. He would always be seeing the coffee mugs. He would always be seeing everything. They would always be there. They would be existing without human observation. That is the base of the question, which leads some people to wonder if we are in a simulation of the past. Okay, that we may not be in a totally simulated reality that's nothing like humans and nothing like anything else, but we could be in a simulation of the past, that this 2018 really did exist. But at the same time as 2018 really having existed, if we wake up and are in our actual state of being, the year is not 2018, but say the year is 2218 or 2200, 2245, something in the 2200s, that we are living in a simulated world of our ancestors. this is the hypotheses. Again, I want to make it very clear that I am not saying for 100% certainty that this is what it is, but I do want to have it out here, and I want to have it on my channel that this is a viable possibility. Thank you very much. I'll be seeing you guys back in the future.
Just making some dinner.
Yeah, that's great.